we have two alumni from Indonesia 2014. Is that correct? Or was it 2013?
2013.
Yeah, 13.
Um, Katerina and Della, who interned in Jakarta, just like you'll be doing, Caroline. So it's a great opportunity to kind of know more about their experiences and also ask more of your questions about, you know, from anything from like your favorite like trip you took on a weekend to like if you felt safe in Jakarta, anything like that.
Yeah.
So let's just start with some really brief introductions. So for the alumni, why don't you just, since more people will be watching this later on, can you just kind of introduce yourself, where you're studying, or if you graduated, where you studied, and also where you interned in Jakarta. So Katerina, why don't you start off?
Okay. So my name is Katerina Connery. I studied at the University of Pittsburgh. I did my master's degree. Actually, I had just graduated before going to Indonesia. Um, so now I'm working. Yeah. And while I was in Indonesia, I interned at Rifka with the nonprofit that helps women and children. I worked with the research department on kind of compiling their data to be used for a research paper or like a report.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Great. Was it the
Okay.
oh, sorry, just a question. Was it the one for like victims of domestic abuse?
Yeah.
Was it? Okay, yeah.
You
We're
guys
actually
still
not.
there? Oh,
Um,
okay.
our contact there, I think, left the organization or something, but I
Oh,
know a bunch of people that interned there had a great experience. Maybe in the future.
okay. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I know. Della, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. I'm Della. I had just graduated from Cornell when I did the um, Indonesia program in 2013. So I just graduated from undergrad, and I've been working in international development since then. And in Indonesia, I worked at Dion Interfidi. So I was helping them with some communications products, helping to put things up on their website, starting their social media presence, and um, putting together promotional videos for them.
Sorry. Good. And Caroline, why don't you just say a little bit about yourself, where you're going to be working, where you're going to school, and why you decided to apply for the Indonesia program with AUA.
Okay. Hi, my name's Caroline Jeter. I graduated from my university, Dominican University, like a year ago, and now I'm in graduate school at Notre Dame de Namora University in San Francisco Bay Area. I'm in the multiple subject teaching credential program, and just finished my first semester there, and I'm going to Jakarta to teach English as a second language for middle school and high school students at the Malimont Girls School, and I'll be co-teaching also with Grace there. And I applied to this program because I've always been really interested in traveling to a different country and helping them out with like where resources are needed. And I was really interested in the message of AOA helping build relationships between the Muslim world and Americans, because I think that's a really important issue, especially now, I feel like. So it's really important. So I really wanted to be a part of something like that too. So.
Great. Thanks, Caroline. So I think I'll just start off with a few questions just to kind of get the ball rolling. But then, Caroline, anytime you have something that you want to add on or clarify based on what either Della or Katerina say, just jump in anytime. I want to make sure that you get all of your questions answered since you're our own volunteer here. So I'm going to just start off with so I guess just Della because Katerina just disappeared. So we'll see if she comes Um, so what was one expectation that you had going into the AUA Indonesia program? Like an
Sorry.
expectation or preconception that turned out to be that was proven wrong during your time there.
Okay, you were breaking up a little bit, but I think I got most of the question. Uh,
Okay. You were a little too, so I can repeat it if you need.
you said something that I had a preconceived notion about that it was disproved.
Yes.
Okay, that's a really hard first question. Um,
Went right there.
yeah, I'll also caveat this by saying this was 3 years ago, so
Sure.
I'll have to like dig deep in my memory. But I guess I went with not a lot of expectations. I was pretty nervous before going just because we actually didn't do a lot of these like pre-trip. Well, we did some like hangouts, but I didn't really feel like I knew anyone going on my program. So I wasn't sure what that was going to be like, and I wasn't sure what the support network was going to be like when I was there. And it turned out to be amazing. I don't know what the setup is this year, but when we were there, we were living at UGM, the like university there. I don't know if is this where they're going to be this year?
So they're going to be in a different house than where
Okay.
you guys are, but still like a right off campus. It's still with Gajah Mada University.
Okay. So, and when they set us up with a buddy who was like a university student, someone in the international affairs department, and so they were around and a great resource to help us with everything from like, I don't really understand what my supervisor wants from me, or like, I don't really know how to get to the grocery store to like buy food. So it turned out to be a great support network. Everything was set up really nicely. Um, and I guess I just didn't know what to expect. So that was a pleasant surprise.
So takeaway, Caroline, is take advantage of your buddy with the buddy system.
Yeah, the buddy is amazing. I still keep in touch with my buddy, and well, we called them like the buddies because there are like 5 or 6 of them for all of us, um, and they were awesome. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Caroline, do you have
I have a
any
follow-up question. Can I ask a Della question really quick about what she just said? I was just wondering
Go
when you were
ahead.
mentioning about Google Hangouts, that you didn't get to know the people that you went with very well. Did you feel like when you went that you got to know some of the people that went with you on this trip
Oh
more?
yeah, yeah. So there were 5 or 6 of us there in the house, um, and we definitely got to know each other really well. You spend the majority of your time with the other volunteers. Obviously, if you mentioned you were co-volunteering with someone, so I was also placed with another volunteer, so I got to know her quite well because we were working together. But
Mhm.
no, like once you get there, there's tons of like time to meet each other and have dinner together and meals, and a few of us did a weekend trip together, and then of course there's like the planned activities that
Yeah.
AUA does for you guys. So yeah, like I became really close with the people on my program. So
Okay.
it just was like beforehand, and like I don't know if you guys are doing like a group flight or anything. So we didn't. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get on a plane for 36 hours, and like I don't know who's gonna meet me on the other side.
Yeah.
Um, so
That is
uh,
overwhelming.
sorry.
That's an overwhelming feeling.
Yeah, it was. I had a moment when I was in Dubai on my layover where I was like, what am I doing? But it like you got there, and like everyone was welcomed you to the house. Like the rooms were really nice. Like everything was great. Like just right from the beginning. So
Nice.
Great. Um, Caroline, did you have any other questions, or should we kind of go on to the next one?
Go on to the next one. That was just my only question right now.
So what was one part of life in Jakarta, whether it be, your internship or just getting around? Like, what was the most challenging part of your experience?
Um, Probably,
I know it's 3.
yeah, probably my least favorite part was having to take the malaria medication. I think um, whichever one I was on, which I don't remember at the time, just like wasn't a good fit for me. Um, like I since like travel for work all the time and take it, and it's not a problem. But I don't know, for some reason I had like a crazy kind of like reaction.
Hi. Welcome back.
Sorry, my computer froze.
No problem. I thought Michael was joining us, and I was like, "Who's this?"
Oh, it's my husband's computer.
Sorry, Della. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. Um, Katarina, they were asking me what the most challenging part of living in JoJo was. So I was saying,
Oh,
for me, like the malaria medication that I was on, like I just did not have a very like positive experience with it. Personally, it just like I wasn't able. I was like really dizzy and wasn't able to exercise. But I think not everyone felt that way, and like people have other medications that they take that work well. But um, life there was fine. I mean, there's no, I guess like getting around wise, there's like no real, there's not sidewalks everywhere or like crosswalks. So that was like something our buddies had to show us how to do. I mean, or like help us navigate is like how to cross the street, which you kind of take for granted in the US. But you just have to be like cautious, but also brave because you just kind of gotta go for it. It's pretty chaotic.
Yeah. Katerina, what about you? What do you think was the most challenging? It could be in your internship or just in day-to-day life. What was the most challenging part of your experience?
um, I would say probably, um, hmm. Probably, I didn't take malaria medication. I decided to risk it. Um, but I think the most challenging thing was, wearing pants and long sleeves in summer in the tropics. Just in respect of the Muslim culture where it's, more conservative and, especially like when we went to the beach one time and we were all very shocked, like, at how covered up they were, and we felt so naked even wearing like, conservative one piece. Um, but usually in summer I like to, wear my shorts and be a little bit cooler, but that's, the most challenging thing. And I agree with Della, like, just getting around and, because, when I'm here in the US, I want to go somewhere, I jump in the car and it's easy. Or, figure out, okay, I'll take the subway or I'll take the bus, these kind of things. But over there, it's like, I want to get out of where I'm at and see things, but, how do I do that? So, yeah, the buddies are very helpful to, kind of figure out, like, okay, yep, from point A to point B. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, Caroline, do you have any follow-ups on that? For the malaria medication, I know that there's a difference between like the weekly pills and the daily pills in terms of side effects. And I
Mhm.
think the daily pills have the more mild side effects. And so Della, I don't know if you remember if you took the weekly ones or the daily ones.
I think I was taking the weekly one, so I
Yeah.
like now I take the daily ones when I travel, so I like those better.
Yeah. Um, and a lot of people have the same reaction to the weekly ones. Do you remember which kind you got, Caroline?
I don't remember. But I wanted to ask about that. Like, how did you deal with the side effects? Did you drink a lot of water or something? Did anything help you to cope with it?
I mean, it wasn't like an ever-present like horrible feeling or anything, but
Uh-huh.
like I just felt kind of dizzy when I was trying to exercise. Like there's a nice jogging track at the university that you can use. Not that I even tried to use it that often, but uh, I just like wasn't really able to exercise. I just like wasn't feeling well enough to do that.
Mhm.
And you do have crazy dreams, but
Oh, wow.
the one ones.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I forget the name of it, but like very trippy dreams are part of the side effects for those. So
Yeah.
definitely the daily ones if you can, Caroline. Learn from this experience.
Interesting to see how it will affect me.
I'm sure your doctor um, would prescribe you the daily one because I think the weekly ones are now a little bit.
Yeah, mine is the daily, I believe. So,
Yeah, they should be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
um, so we were talking a little bit about like dress and what to wear. So I was thinking about like things to pack. What's one thing for Della and Katerina brought, if you can remember? I know it was a long time ago.
You cut out a little bit. You said one thing we would recommend bringing.
Yeah, that maybe you didn't bring and
Oh,
you
that we forgot. Okay.
yeah,
Hmm.
or just something you recommend bringing.
I brought a lot of granola bars, uh, and I kind of liked having them because the diet there is extremely rice heavy. Like you're gonna eat rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And like their breakfast isn't I mean, the cook that we had would cook us like American breakfast, which was really nice, and we all really appreciated it. But oftentimes breakfast and lunch and dinner kind of like are seem the same. It's like rice and chicken or um, that kind of thing. So I liked having some granola bars just to like switch it up a bit and like eat what I wanted sometimes or have a snack. I would bring them.
Yeah. What about you, Katerina?
Yeah, actually, that's something I wish I had brought more um, granola bars or something. Like, it's also nice, after a while to have something familiar. When you're eating so many new things, it's kind of nice to, yeah, go back to what you're used to just every once in a while.
Supplement
Um,
diet with a granola bar.
yeah.
Good advice.
Mm.
I,
Caroline, is there anything that you were thinking about bringing that you're not sure about that you might want to ask about?
well, I wanted to actually ask because I'm curious about the whole shoes. What kind of shoes did you guys bring? Because I only have this one pair of shoes, like these flats kind of thing, but I don't want them to be worn out, so I'm just wondering what you guys brought in terms of clothing.
I had Birkenstock sandals that I wore.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
I feel like we took them off sometimes, right, Della? Like, you took off your
Yeah,
shoes.
I
So, like, slip-ons, things you can slip on and off are nice.
yeah, a lot of like when you go into a mosque or like someone's home, you take off your shoes. I wonder if, because I think for your work, I think that's the same place that some people taught on our year, and we visited, and I think you have to wear a hijab. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I would guess that you might have to wear flats, like cover your feet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like outside of work, even if you're wearing long pants and long sleeves, you can wear sandals. It's not a big deal.
Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
And then I had another question in terms of clothing. Did you guys like bring any jacket and stuff? Because I look up the weather and I brought this up before, and I do notice that it kind of rains too. Was there rain during your guys' trip when you guys went, or no?
Not really.
Not
I don't.
really.
I think it would rain like in the afternoon for 10 minutes and then stop, but only a few times. I don't
Yeah,
really.
I remember when we were there, they were saying that usually it's the rainy season, but this year it hasn't been raining so
Yeah.
much.
Okay.
So,
It's probably worth it to bring a raincoat just in case, but
Yeah.
I don't remember using one.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Probably just for peace of mind. If you're worried about it, bring one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that you guys would recommend doing. I mean, you have a few free weekends. The volunteers are only going for 5 weeks this year. So if they
Oh,
plan a trip on one of their weekends, what's like the one thing they can't miss?
Um, well, I'm sure you're, well, I don't know what the excursions you guys already planned were. Are they, is it like the same that we had?
Yeah, I think they're the same.
Okay. Well, because then I would like go to those places. But we went to the beach one weekend, which Katarina talked about, and we felt really exposed, even though we were wearing shorts and a bathing suit, like a one piece. But the beaches near Jogja, they're like 2 or 3 hours away. It's like kind of crazy, like mountain roads, which were interesting to drive on. Or we didn't drive, but our buddies did.
we
And
hired a driver.
oh,
Remember, you rent a car with a driver,
did
and
I thought Bara drove us?
he drove us to cave tubing,
Oh
which I
yeah.
recommend.
Okay,
Cave
Hmm,
you're right.
tubing was really good.
Okay, you're
that
right. We
sounds
hired a driver.
Yeah, and it
Um,
wasn't that expensive either. It was like, $20 each or something. I
yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because we went with Bila and she doesn't drive.
Yes.
Okay, okay. I'm mixing up my weekends. But yeah, we also went cave tubing. That was really cool.
what did cave tubing entail?
Well, you get in a tube, an inner tube, and they give you some shoes if you don't have any water shoes, and then you go with a guide down like a kind of a whitewater area, and then you go through some caves, and
There's like a lot of
he has
baths.
a flashlight, and shows you the important, interesting areas, and then there's one spot with like waterfalls, and then this like really high place you can go up and jump down into the water, and um, it's just a lot of fun. The water is warm, and yeah,
Sounds
the caves are pretty.
Caroline, is there anything that you kind of are thinking that you want to do while you're there that you might get some
Um,
plan?
I'm interested in culture excursions like the volcano. I think that'd be cool. And
Mhm.
then also the temple stuff area and Bali if possible, if that can be worked as well.
So the volcano we tried to hike, and the day or like a couple days beforehand, it erupted a little bit. So
Oh my gosh.
uh, we weren't able to, but I would recommend that because I think it's supposed to be cool. Uh, I went to Bali with a couple of volunteers for a weekend. If you only have 5 weekends, there's a lot to do around in and around Jogja. I mean, not that six is that many more weekends or weeks, but you can go to Bali. It's like I think we spent like $100 or $150 on a flight, and like they're cheap hostels there, and you can make it work.
Hmm.
Um, it's like an hour-long flight. But I would definitely recommend leaving like a weekend or some free days in Jogja itself because there's really cool stuff to do in the city also.
Yeah.
Yeah. One evening we went with our buddies down to this area where they have like these bikes with like all these lights on them, and you ride the bikes around. It was a lot of fun.
And we tried to walk between
We
the
tried to
trees.
walk between the trees. These two big trees, and you're supposed to close your eyes and walk through them, like in between them, but nobody ever does it.
There's like
It's supposed
hundreds of people trying to do it, blindfolded, like walking in all directions, and you think it's going to be really easy, but it's impossible.
I think I've seen these photos like somewhere in the abyss of the AUA photo collection.
Yeah,
Um,
it's supposed to have some kind of significance, like good luck or if you can make it or something like that.
Yeah.
so Caroline, I've asked over with the specific things that you're thinking about.
Um, Specific things. Trying to think. I don't know. Nothing's really coming to mind right now. I was interested in food, but then you guys kind of already talked about that. I guess I could ask, is the food really spicy or something over there in Jogjakarta when you guys went?
Um, the food is um, kind of as
Or what is
spicy.
the food like?
Yeah, so the food is not usually like already spicy as I remember, but correct me if I'm wrong, Katarina, but like they always have chili oil on the table that you can add in and it's like
Hmm.
incredibly spicy really quickly.
Yeah.
But I think everything comes like pretty mild.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of spicy food.
There's really good, really cheap food all around. It's really like your buddies will show you places that are good. Like we would go to this noodle place that had like noodle soup and it was like $1.50 or something
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Did you guys shop a lot at like the local grocery stores too for food?
Yeah, we would buy like fruit and snacks and things. A
We didn't
lot of
cook.
interesting fruits. We didn't cook so much.
Hmm.
We cooked. We made. Well, we were there on 4th of July, so we made like a weird 4th of July feast
We made
of
grilled
what we had.
cheeses and s'mores.
Yeah. And watermelon. Yeah, we tried to make like an American meal, but it was really fun actually.
Nice. Um, and then another question I have just came to me. How did you guys do with the language there in Jogjakarta, the Bahasa language? Did you get well enough at it where you were talking conversations with people and really fluent, or how was that for you guys?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I probably got just as much as being able to introduce myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it was good, but just kind of getting an idea of the language, and we learned a few things to help us shop, but that was still challenging. Mostly we relied on our buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because even if you can ask the questions, you have to understand the answer, which is another story sometimes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I just mostly just got confident in introducing myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was to the point where we would get like really excited when other people were talking and we could understand a couple words. Like we could like understand basic vocabulary, I guess, but
Mm-hmm.
um and like numbers, so we could barter a little bit. It's not a very hard language, it's just not a lot of time that you have to learn it while you're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
mentioned
I'm really
bartering.
excited about learning it. I bought a little Bahasa dictionary too, so pocket dictionary that I'll bring when I go there. So hopefully that'll help in addition to my language classes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Adela, you mentioned bartering. So is that, I'm sure that's just like the norm of like you go to a market and you negotiate a price. So for someone who hasn't done that before, do you guys have any tips?
Um, Again, our buddies were really helpful with that. Like I kind of feel like I don't know, maybe I'm making this up, but I kind of feel like we went shopping without them and then went with them and we're like, "Oh, that's how you do it." Or I just remember like being with them and realizing like, "Oh, okay, I could go a lot lower." I don't know, it's kind of tricky because they're giving you like a bad tourist price, but it's also like their livelihood and you like want to support the local economy. So you're like, well, that's not that much money for me. I could pay it. But I would just say like you can definitely barter and you should because they're not going to give you a fair price right off the bat. Sometimes like we would take pedicab taxis, and like we would all hide around the corner, and our buddy would go negotiate a price with the person, and then we would come out because since we were like foreigners, they would rip us off and like give us a worse price for the pedicab for the same ride for the same number of people. So you gotta kind of work around that.
So again, rely on your buddy is the moral of the story.
Yeah, listen to your buddies.
The moral of the whole story, I guess.
This is the conclusion of this webinar: is rely on your buddy. um, so this one's more for any parents that we end up sending this to. Can you guys talk about safety and if you felt if you felt safe in Jakarta and if you felt uncomfortable at any points, do you have any advice for how to deal with safety and security concerns?
Okay, I can start.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt completely safe inside the house for sure. We had a guard at night, and maybe during the day too, which was nice. But the only time we ever called him in was one time we found I think it was a mouse, or I don't know, something like bigger than the average lizard that would just be
I
in
thought
the
it was
house.
a rat.
It was okay, maybe it was a rat. And we were
I
like
remember everyone screaming.
screaming girls like running around on the and we quickly looked up the Bahasa word for rat and like brought him in to try to find it, but we never found the rat. But anyway, that's the only like interaction I remember having with the guard. Like we never had any kind of like security incidents or issues. And walking around, I felt really safe too. I think the only thing that was a bit of an annoyance was out and about or like sightseeing or things like that. People would ask to take pictures with us. So I don't know if it was that like they're not usually like foreigners or white people like where they live, but like when we went out to the beach, for instance, like people were like taking our picture, which is a little awkward because you're like wearing a bathing suit, even though it's like the most modest bathing suit you've ever put on. Um, but people would say like, "Can I take a picture with you?" or "Can my family and I take a picture with you?" It was all very friendly, but it was just that was like a bit annoying after a while. But I don't I remember feeling safe the whole time. It was yeah.
Yeah, I felt pretty safe. Um, Out and about, and I felt safe to walk. We would walk down the street and get noodles around the campus, and I think the most dangerous thing I felt was trying to cross the street because of all the motorbikes. They're like hundreds of motorbikes, and they don't pedestrians is kind of like an afterthought. So you just have to be careful and really watch when you're crossing the streets. Yeah.
And I think the driver that we had, like the drivers there are pretty crazy, but the driver that was like provided to us to drop us off at work and stuff was an excellent driver and probably drove much more conservatively because, he was driving us, but like I felt safe driving around too.
Thank you. Caroline, so we have time for like one or two more questions. So I have one or two if you are out of questions and ideas, and I'm happy to ask them, but I want to make sure that you get all of yours answered if you have anything.
I think, I think I'm all out of questions. I'm not sure that I have any more.
Okay, so last question then. So this one is about your specific internships because we haven't really talked about those yet. So can you share a little bit about, I don't know, maybe like your workplace culture and what to expect? An American workplace can look very different than an Indonesian workplace. Can you speak a little bit about, what the culture was like in your respective offices?
Um, trying to remember.
Um, for me, Deanne Interfiti was in a house, and it was only had 7 employees, and only like 4 of them even spoke English. So it was a very small work environment. But it felt very much like homey and like family oriented. We had communal lunch every day, so there was like a cook and cleaner at the office who would cook lunch um, for us. And well, not during Ramadan, me and like one other person were the only people who ate lunch, but still everyone sat together every day, took a long, like hour and a half long lunch break. And I just think the pace of work there is so leisurely in comparison to like a US internship. And I think I remember them having like a couple of things that they wanted me to work on through the summer, and I think me and my co-intern finished them like in the first couple weeks. So it's good to, I guess you're going to be teaching, so it'll be different, but I don't know if other people are interning. But
We have one
it's
person at Deanna Interfiti.
Oh, okay. So I would
Yeah.
encourage them to like seek out other projects that they think they could help with. Like, there's plenty to be done. I just think, they'll say, "Oh, could you help us with one video?" And you'll be able to do 4 in the time that you're there, just because we're accustomed to working at like a really quick pace. So just like fill in holes as you see them, and like don't be afraid to say like, "Oh, hey, I know how to do X, Y, or Z." Like I could help you with that. So
Mhm. Like taking a lot of initiative, even if it's not something in your statement of work. If you see a room for
exactly.
improvement.
I think most of the things that we ended up doing in that summer like weren't in our original statement of work. It sort of evolved, and I mean, you have to ask like maybe it's not useful, but just saying like, would it be useful if I could help with
Mhm.
something else?
Yeah, good advice.
It's also a shorter workday during Ramadan. Um, I don't remember the hours, but it's quite short.
Yeah. Ramadan will just be when this group arrives, so it'll probably be a
Okay.
more normal, yeah, more normal schedule.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was more laid back. Um, uh, I mean, our place where I was at Rifka Nisa, there were a lot more employees. Most of them didn't speak English as well, but they were all so friendly that they're always smiling at us and wanting us to be part of things. And I wish I had taken more. I'm kind of a shy person and quiet, so I wish I had taken more time to interact with people, because they're definitely more friendly and open and kind of laid back in the work environment, not like get your stuff done like now. Um, and like one time one of the guys, he broke out a guitar and we were all just singing songs for like half an hour or something. And yeah, there was also a communal lunch. And yeah, sometimes my boss would be like, "Come on, Katerina, let's go work over here together." And yeah, we'd go sit in the library and sit on the floor and work.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
just
it would just be
of
it would just be like if you're just sitting around having a great conversation after lunch for like an extra hour. I just felt like I would always be looking at my watch, like, shouldn't I go back to work? But no one feels that way. So kind of nice.
just some much slower pace. In a school, though, Caroline, it will probably be a little bit different, but you'll probably still see some of that more like relaxed work pace
Mhm.
in your school culture.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's 9:45, and I don't want to keep you guys that much longer. So, um, Caroline, last chance you have any more questions? Otherwise, we'll call it quits in the evening.
I think you guys pretty much covered everything, so yeah.
Good.
Great.
Well, thank you, Della and Katerina, for joining. I know it's late, and I appreciate it. Um,
No worries.
and we're going to send this to the other 4 students that are going, so they'll get to reap the benefits of this as well. But you might get some follow-up emails from students with specific questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you again.
When do you guys leave?
In 2 weeks, July 13th.
Nice. Have fun. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for answering all the questions. It's been really helpful.
Good.
Yeah. I was already kind of excited, but now I feel more excited to
All
hear
right.
all this.
Okay. Well, thank you again, and I'll be in touch with all of you soon.
Okay. Thanks.
Good night. Bye.
Bye. Nice
Bye.
meeting you. Thank you.
You